Namaste. New Year's greetings and best wishes from Maramia to all our friends, viewers, listeners, subscribers, and critics. Welcome to the sixth episode of Talks on Life. Today's query has come from Probal Bhattacharya. He has asked, my question is, do we really have a free will? If we don't have, then how can we be held responsible for our karma? I personally believe that what we do is prescripted. If I'm wrong, would you please take up this subject and guide me and others through a general discourse? Kind regards. Well, Probal, this has been an eternally unresolved riddle, at least intellectually. This has to be resolved through experience, through perception, because there is no absolutes. The world does not function in absolutes. The world as we see it, the universe, it operates on polarities. There is a yes and no to every question that can be raised. Let us take your question. Let us see the words. Free will. What is a free will? What do you mean by free will? Are you free? Or are you limited within the confined space of your body or your own physical and mental experiences? How free are you? And if you are not totally free, how can your will be free? Free from what? For example, you have asked this question. Is this your free will? Did you exercise a will of your own to ask this question? Or would you say that this question, which is going to be asked by Prabal Bhattacharya and responded to by me in this particular session, was pre-scripted? But do you know that? Have you seen that script? Have you read that script? So, as you raise this question, you will find that I am going to raise more questions because my advice will be try not to seek the answer intellectually. If I give you an answer, if I say yes, free will does exist, what will change within you? How will that help you? Or if I say the other thing, that everything is pre-scripted and predestined, let's say, how is that also going to change anything in your life or my life? Because your life is your experience. And there are many moments, almost every moment of your life, that you are exercising a will, a desire, and you think that you have decided to do something, and as a result, you're doing it. And while you are deciding, and while you are doing it, there's an intellectual part of your mind which is believing, which is thinking that probably all this is pre-scripted. But this actually leads to a confusion. And it could be a good for a kind of a intellectual discourse. But beyond that, try to understand or try to deal with this kind of a question a little more deeply. Even animals have egos. A dog or a cat or a tiger or a bird, they all have egos, but their egos are confined within their survival instincts. They want to eat, they want to take rest, they want to mate, they want to avoid fear. They want to live. They do not want to die when the crisis comes. That is the fear they try to avoid. Their ego is restricted within these instincts. Their ego cannot expand beyond this. For example, a dog will not be worried about the state of the dog society in the whole country. Dogs won't make any distinctions. Look, these pampered dogs in cities who are pets of these rich people, they are so well off. They get all the benefits. They get the beds and the air conditioned rooms, and we, the street dogs, get nothing. So we have to revolt against them. Let's start a revolution. Let's make all dogs equal. That kind of ego, expansive ego, does not exist for a dog or for any animals. In comparison, the human ego is greater. It is more spread out beyond the instincts of surviving. The human ego thinks more about the society, about religion, about politics, about human rights, and all these things, because the ego expands in the fields of opinions, in the fields of isms and philosophies and doctrines and relationships and identifications. But still, that is an ego. Again, coming back to your question about believing, if I say, yes, you're right, everything is prescripted, then your ego will be satisfied. You have an opinion, and my words lend support to your opinion. So you will feel a kind of a satisfaction, ego satisfaction. But still, it will not be a realization. So, what is the ultimate truth? Ultimate truth is undefinable. Before that, when we talk about will, we are talking about, or you are talking about, or I am talking about, an individual will, a personal will. So, the moment there is an individuality, that means there is ignorance. When we think that I am an individual and I am separated from the whole, that there is the universe outside, nature outside, the trees and animals and birds and other human beings outside, and I am here. This sense of separation gives you the feeling of individuality. So when we talk about will, we are talking about individual will. How long will that exist? As long as we are confined within the identification of this individuality. When this individuality dissolves into universality, then there is no individual will, then there is universal will. And what is universal will? When you realize the truth of existence, you will see, or you will realize, or you will feel within yourself how things get manifested, how the cosmos or the universe starts, how it spreads, because it is you who is spreading. And what is the purpose of the spreading? What is the play? What is the sport? What is the will? what is the emotion, that kind of flooding of knowledge, a flooding of emotions will start to happen within you. So it is a matter of relative experience. When Buddha is leaving his home, saying goodbye to his wife and his little child, he is under the impression that he is acting of his own free will to understand the nature of the misery of life. But after Nirvana, he knows that all this was part of a divine plan. All this was part of a divine will. But at that time, when he was leaving home, he was not aware of it. At that time, he was thinking, or he was under the impression that he was acting according to his own will to try and understand the pain and misery and the suffering of humanity. So, it is very important to remember that as long as we are ignorant and bound within the confines of the ego, and we are not surrendered, ignorant and not surrendered, then this idea of prescript or predestination becomes fatalistic and leads us to a kind of inertia, let's say a kind of tamasic tendencies. Many researchers, many spiritual personalities have, in fact, blamed our philosophy partly because we have become too fatalistic. That whatever is happening, it is because of our karma, it is because of God's will, what to do. It is not within our hands. We can't do anything about it. We have to accept the situation and take it as it is. Nothing to change, nothing to reform. There is nothing to achieve, nothing to aspire for. Somehow we have misinterpreted the philosophy of karma and become very idle and lazy and non resistant to all the troubles that have befallen us, both in the family, both within the mind, and also from outside, even as a country, even as a society, as a culture. When we have been attacked from outside, we have been totally fatalistic. Because we are ignorant and we are not aware of that ignorance, as a result, we are not surrendered. We are not totally surrendered. If somebody, if a seeker or a sadhak really starts to believe or really starts to, inculcate within himself the idea that everything is pre-designed, everything is prescripted, then that moment, the last drop of effort should fall from him, should slip away from him. And that will lead him to enlightenment. This is what happened with Trailanga Swami. Trailanga Swami's guru used to say in his discourses that everything happens due to God's will. Even the leaf of a tree dances in the breeze, that is because of divine will. So Trailanga Swami asked his guru, is that true? Is that really true? That everything, every moment, every molecular existence happens through God's will. That all this this idea of effort, the idea of doing certain things to get certain other things, all this is sheer illusion, something that we make believe within ourselves. The Guru said, yes, that is true. But it's very difficult to accept because people have ego and they have will and they make an effort. So as long as there is a tendency for effort, okay, go ahead, see the limit of your effort. In order to become effortless, you have to see the limit of your effort. When Telanga Swami heard this from his guru, he said, okay, from this moment, I drop all effort. Even an effort to survive, I forego, I renounce. So he just sat down. And within a month, he became fully realized. Try to understand. The urge for effort is very strong, even for Telanga Swami. So to bury that urge requires the maximum level of effort. That even when he has an urge to urinate or defecate, he is not moving from that place. It requires a lot of effort to do that. For human beings, it is easy for a cow who is in a cowshed. The cow, in that sense, is surrendered. Wherever he is standing, he doesn't go around looking for a place. He urinates there, he defecates there. Dogs and cats make some distinctions. They select some special places to do that. But a cow in a cowshed or in a dairy does not. And the question is almost impossible for a human being. So even those basic urges to do that effort to walk a little distance, a few feet away from where he's sitting, because he would be sitting there now for days and weeks, and he's going to urinate there and defecate there. And he's not going to search or hunt for food. The urge will come, the body will demand, it will scream for food. But he has decided to bury all effort. So it requires tremendous effort, tremendous struggle to completely surrender. And when he does, when he succeeds in winning over these instincts, winning over these embarrassments, winning over these compulsive behaviors that we have a tendency for, then within a month, it can happen. And it did happen for him. He became fully enlightened, fully realized, and then everything is divine. And there are no separate wills anymore. There is only divine will. There is only divinity. So, for Trailan Goswami, not for Prabal Bhattacharya, not for me, not for anybody else, for Trailan Goswami, he becomes an instrument where divine will, divine love, divine energy starts to flow. Because he is no more confined within the limited personality of a Trailan Goswami. Though the body is there, though the instrument is there, but it has become a transformer of universal energy. So this is something that you have to realize. Our life is like the life of a donkey, let's say, who is tied to a pole by a rope. So our free will is bound within the distance that the rope allows us to move. Within that distance, the donkey would feel that he is free. He has a free will. Whether I take or eat the grass of that part of the field or this part of the field, or whether I stand here under the shadow or in the sun, he can only decide as much as the rope allows him to. And because he's a donkey, or we are like him donkeys, we are not aware of this rope. We think we are very free. We can do whatever we want. So, as long as we are not realized, as long as we have an ego, then of course, yes, there is free will. And if you believe that there is a kind of a prescripted manuscript in the allegorical sense somewhere, then there is no importance about your believing that or your thinking that. Don't give it any importance. What you believe is not important. What you know and what you experience is important. I would rather say that if I believe or if I think or if I have an idea that everything is prescripted, sometimes people talk about these things. Everything has been written down. Every little details, every little detail has been written down, recorded somewhere. My advice is, I would like to see the script. That's why we have these words like Kal Drashta or Trikal Drashta. People are sages who are seers of time, who are seers of the three dimensions of time, who can see the past, the present, and the future. So I would like to raise myself to that state, to go beyond time and to observe time and to read that script in an allegorical sense. So, in a nutshell, what we can say is, in a larger sense, the universal sense, in a macro level, yes, the universe, the design, and the designer are one. Everything is happening according to a plan, you can say a divine plan. And within that macro picture, there are these micro identities of human beings who have been given egos and ignorances, who believe that they have a will, even the will and a desire to challenge the universal plan or the divine plan. And so their will and their desires are creating little bubbles of universes. Every desire that I have creates a bubble. If it is related to somebody I'm related with, a friend or relative or whoever, and he or she also has a desire which is associated with me, then these two bubbles merge, and in this way, infinite bubbles of universes are being created. And in this context, karma is important because I'm ignorant, because I have an ego. So when I'm doing something, when I'm doing a karma, then I have a feeling that I am doing it. So I am taking responsibility for it. When I hurt someone, I feel guilty, and that guilt will lead me to a consequence. When I do something that is beneficial to somebody else, I feel glad, I feel delighted, and that feeling of delight or gladness will lead me to a consequences. That is the effect and the cause and the effect, the karmic chain, as long as we have the ego. So Arjun has a karmic existence because he is not realized. Krishna is also doing a lot of things, but he is not bound within the karmic chain because he is fully realized. Krishna, in fact, shows Arjuna just what you have said, that look, everything is prescripted. The whole drama has been enacted and the final scene had been played out. I have killed everybody. The war is actually over. You're just a catalyst, you're just an excuse here, nothing else. So Arjun, in spite of the fact that he had seen this, but he is still not totally realized. As long as he is not, he is responsible for his karma. As long as he is not, he has a will. As long as he has a will, he has to exercise that will. For what? To go to the last limit of that will and to go beyond it. As I've said before, like Rollinga Swami, to stretch the effort to its last limit to become effortless. Finally, to surrender effort, to realize the futility of effort. Who realizes? You, not the ego. The moment you realize the futility of the ego, you drop it, the ego drops with it. Because the ego is driven by the will or the desire. So that is why our role at the moment is not to find any definite answers to these questions because there is no absolute. First, we have to become a Buddha or we have to attain the state of Buddhahood. First, we have to seek enlightenment. And if you can do it, okay, everything is God's will, so enlightenment is also God's will. I give up all effort. If you can do that, all effort. Not only effort for meditation, because many people use that as an excuse. Yes, I can do meditation only when God wills it. But he's not saying it when it comes to food or when it comes to earning money or when it comes to buying a house or to construct a house. He's not saying this. That a house will come up only when God wills it. He's not saying this. He's only saying this when it comes to meditation and sadhana. So, this kind of deception with the mind will not do. Instead, acknowledge the fact that we have a will because we have an ego, because we are not realized yet. One. Second, get ready, be determined to dispel this darkness of ignorance. Go within yourself, search within, turn inwards, use that effort, do whatever you have to do. Go to the limit of your effort and your will, as long as you have it. Seek for the light. And then all these answers, these will not be any more answers. These will be your experiences. Let these experiences grow within you spontaneously, naturally. I hope I have been able to do some justice to this question. An absolute answer is not required because there is no absolutes in this world. Realize, experience, and don't bother about opinions and beliefs and what you think. These are not important. Thank you. Namaskar.